Hello and welcome back to the How the Race Was Won podcast. I'm Dane Cash. I'm joined as ever by bike racing analyst extraordinaire Cosmo Catalano for the final time this season.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Cosmo, how are you?
I'm good.
We just watched History Was Made at Lombardia. What's the headline from the Race of the Falling Leaves?
Rumors of Tadej Pogacar's demise have been greatly exaggerated. If there were such things.
Yeah. Excellent. I think that is a good way to really sum it all up. He did the thing that we knew he was going to do. But I have to say this. You know, when I was watching him do it, I was thinking, what are we going to talk about on this show today? I mean, how can we make a show out of this? But in our correspondence in the hour and a half that has passed since then, I feel like you've had some spicy takes that I am excited to hear. So
they're spicy.
They're spicy. Don't sell yourself short. But also, let's keep the viewers interested here. Let's get into it first. Just take us to the critical moment. How was the race?
Well, I mean, this is what I'm saying when I talk about how Pogacar is doing okay. Like
40K to go. We've got We've got 30K to go. We've got
adding something. There we go.
Yeah.
Adding something to the stage doesn't remove the other thing from the stage, turns out.
All right. We've got.
I mean, look at Tadej here. He's taken off his gloves.
Yeah. He's looking chill.
And that's incredibly smooth. That's like 4 seconds without even, he sits up a little bit, but he's still in the line. I thought that was really smooth. He's coming by Rafael Majka, who finishes his pull here. This is like the end of Rafael Majka's career. Does a big salute. He's clearly.
I like that.
He's untroubled, right? And we get to the big point where he attacks. He goes hard, then he attacks. We all know that's what they do. But there's a sneaky twist here, which was they had Del Toro in the background on Pogacar's wheel. Wasn't 1,000% clear that Pogacar would be the guy today. This is Pogacar gifted a win to McNulty earlier this season, which is not something he's commonly known for doing. And Del Toro won a bunch of Italian one days in the run up to this. So giving teams an additional thing to think about, even though it's pretty clearly, Tadej is going to be the man if he's not horribly ill or maybe, bleeding to death, broken limbs, etc. But it was not what we see every single time. And almost immediately Del Toro pulls off, and you can see Evenepoel behind him just sort of look at Del Toro when it happens, because they know they're not going to chase Pogacar.
We're on the Passo di Ganda here, by the way, which
yes,
we should point out. I mean, this is the decisive climb.
Yes, in this direction.
When they do a Lombardia in this order. So, the race likes to go back and forth. Como, Bergamo, Bergamo,
yep.
Como, Bergamo. When they do the Como, Bergamo, this is the decisive climb. We know he's going to go here, right? Like this is just how it works. And yet, like UAE takes control and no one can do anything about it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, not only that, look at the preparation here. In case any of their competitors had agents in the helicopter, they timed the attack to be perfectly behind this olive tree so that it couldn't be seen. It's just top to bottom preparation and perfection from UAE.
Where this race is decided, though, I mean, is it when he goes?
Yeah, I mean, yes, at least for the top step. I think we can talk about it. In fact, we can talk about it right now if you want to.
Yeah, let's do it.
So when this attack happens, Quinn Simmons is up the road. He was very active all day. I mean, literally from the gun, there he is, official start. Quinn Simmons attacking, a bunch of people looking over at him like, man, really? This was repeated throughout the day. Simmons tried to go away, about 100K to go on the descent of the, wasn't the Berbeno, was it? One of the earlier climbs.
Yeah.
Ghana comes up to him moments later. It's like, dude, what are you thinking? Are you crazy? But he did. He goes away again on the very next climb up the Crocetta, which is the climb before the Ganda. And yeah, he was really strong, but I think he made some not great decisions in the finale.
So this I think he had the ride of the day, and this is one of the spicier Cosmo takes. I want to know why are you not impressed with Quinn Simmons today?
Well, I wouldn't say I wasn't impressed. I was very impressed. The thing is, his legs were there. I don't know if his mind was fully engaged in trying to get. I think we'll talk about it with Remco later. Remco is very focused for the optimum placement number next to his name on the results sheet on a day like today. And I think Quinn Simmons was looking to just smash everything, maybe not so concerned with that finish placement, because as Pogacar comes by him, the correct thing to do in this situation is to stop and wave and say, hey, man, I'll see you at the finish. And instead, Simmons goes right to his wheel and tries to keep up, which he does for half a kilometer, which is amazing. But that's half a kilometer that he could have been fresher for. And the same thing happens again here. Evenepoel is in second. Michael Storer is with him. Simmons hops onto Storer's wheel, and immediately Storer is like, oh, all of a sudden, it's too hard for me to keep up. I can't keep up anymore. You're gonna have to close the gap, Quinn. And of course, Quinn Simmons closes the gap. And then the very next time the road goes uphill, they both drop him. And I think if he'd been a little more tactically minded there, I think if he, you know what, Michael Storer, you can close this gap, or maybe we'll just let him time trial away, and it's you versus me coming into the finale, because Storer, like, he gets away here. And I wouldn't say he falls apart. Oh yeah. Simmons also gets caught by Del Toro after on the final descent, kind of coming into Bergamo. And we don't see any more footage of their group after this point, but he comes in alone. Like, he clearly got rid of Del Toro somewhere, in the finale of this course. This isn't America. There was no ice raid here. This was legit. This was Quinn Simmons riding into the finish with the legs to get clear of Del Toro. Storer was only about 20 or 30 seconds up the road. And so I feel like there is a not impossible to imagine scenario where Simmons really rides this smart, goes for that podium spot, and finishes third.
That's interesting. I do think, I see some validity to your point, and at the same time, I also think it's a day that Simmons can look back on and say that was one of his best one-day performances.
Oh, it was an incredible performance. I think the result could have been better.
Yeah,
and I mean, he's stoked on it. He's got his hand up, like, yeah, that was a pretty solid one, and it was.
Yeah,
but
which I like that. I like when riders acknowledge that they had a good day even if they didn't win. And
yes,
on the whole, I mean, Simmons was third overall, or third at the GP Montreal a couple of weeks ago. So it's been a strong set of one day races for him, and there are also races I think that don't actually suit him all that well. I mean, he's not the best climber in the world, so the fact that he's able to leverage his skill set to a fourth place finish here is quite good. All right, so
are they paying him to do this though? Like, think about the Tour de France. He was incredibly strong throughout the Tour de France, did not get a result. You know, the third in Canada, pretty good. Don't get me wrong, not pooping on it. Fourth today, also pretty good. But if you're paying money to put your name on his jersey, do you want him to have a great performance day, or do you want him to have a day where he is on the podium at the end of it?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. The other thing, though, is that the best he can probably do is the podium. So it's not like he's that far off of whatever his top result is. And I think that's a great way to segue into the next talking point, which is, to me, I mean, all right, we'll get to Pogacar himself in a bit. I want to put Pogacar's achievement into context in a little bit. But Evenepoel was the one rider maybe who could have done something today. And it seems to me that you are suggesting Evenepoel was essentially riding for second all day.
Yes, and you almost confirmed that in the interview. He has a phrase he likes to say, which is that second was the best place possible. He uses it a lot when he's racing with Pogacar. And I think it may be something of a self-fulfilling prophecy, where he is, we saw the escape today with Simmons and with Ghana, very big, very strong break. You could have put a lot of pressure on UAE throughout the course of the day. And Red Bull Bora helped them out. Soudal Quickstep, the only time they were at the front was at the run-in to the Gonda here behind Catalano, and that was it. That was their only contribution. They did nothing to try and shake this up. Granted, they had a guy in the move, so I understand that part, but it seems very clear that Soudal and Remco know the Pogacar formula and are setting up to get that optimum number next to their name, rather than that, like, man, what a great day out for Remco feeling.
But at the same time, acknowledging that optimal number is 2 and not 1, which I think is, well, I don't know. So when Pogacar goes, I mean, you can see Evenepoel very clearly doesn't go. Like, it's not, he doesn't even, there's not even a moment.
Del Toro looks at him like, am I going to have to follow you and respond? And Remco looks back over and it's like, no, this is not the point at which I'm going. I'm going to let Pogacar go away and pretend he doesn't exist.
But I think you can read this a couple different ways. I think, and this was discussed on the broadcast as well. And, hats off to the TNT, the WB broadcasters for coming up with things to talk about for the 30 minutes where the race was already decided. But yeah, I guess it's Brian Smith and Magnus and
Carlton.
And yeah, So okay, what one of the things that they said, and I think this may be accurate. Maybe Evenepoel is deciding I'm not going to go here. I'm going to try to close it down, close this gap down later. And then another alternative is he can't go. And then the other alternative is he not doesn't go because he's just settling for second. It's one of those three probably.
I mean, it could be all of them, right? When you have
True.
this second is the best possible approach. If
Right.
something happens to Pogacar, he crashes, he gets a flat, there's a mechanical, uh, then yeah, you could potentially catch him and win and say, oh, that was the plan all along, and not I was sitting on and waiting for second.
Right.
Like there isn't a huge difference, but I think just in terms of what they could do, like Quickstep is a strong team here. They could have been more active. They could have tried to shake things up more. And I think there's just a sense of it's not going to get them a better finish, you know?
Well, I do wonder. I mean, is letting Pogacar go when he makes that big burst and then hoping you can catch him later, is that a decent strategy, or do you think
has that ever worked? Right? Has Pogacar ever
completely
imploded?
right? But
Like,
yeah, I see your point. So yeah, what's the alternative here for Evenepoel?
there is the only thing you can do is do what Visma tried to do during the tour, which is just turn the race on its head, make it as hard as possible, constantly try to shake things up. And I think that's just such a low percentage shot. Like it hasn't ever really worked. So why would they try that here, especially at the end of the season? Everybody's tired. Pogacar has won this race 4 years running. Like of all the monuments, this is the one where he has the best hand of cards coming in. You know, it fits his abilities really well. He's got a ton of experience. Remco's experiences here have not been so positive in the past. I feel like if he was ever going to just be like, forget it, guys, we're racing for second today, I feel like it is most justifiable in this instance.
Yeah, I also do think there is something to be said about the potentially trying to catch him after the climb, because that's where Evenepoel is most closely matched to him, is not going uphill, right?
Well,
So, like you said, it could be all the above.
I think we all saw Remco catch Pogacar in the time trial, but Pogacar has not historically been a great time trialer relative to his other abilities. It was also a fairly unique climb. It was not your typical time trial. It was very grindy, kind of uphill with some cobbles and corners. It's very much, I think we get excited when we see something like Tadej Pogacar getting badly beaten in a time trial. And we're like, oh, maybe we could extrapolate these circumstances onto a one-day race too, or onto a Grand Tour. It's like when Hincapie won the Tour stage in 2005, and everyone's like, oh, it's a mountain Tour stage that he just won, so now he can be a GC contender. And it's like, it's more complicated than that. Like, yeah, there's some overlap, but the full holistic confluence of circumstance, I think, still weighs heavily against you looking at a flat section of road after a climb and being like, maybe
Right.
Evenepoel can out-time trial Pogacar through this.
All right, well, let's talk about Pogacar himself, because I think every show where he wins like this, we attempt to find. I mean, this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to give you analysis and give you good perspectives on what it all means, how it could have been raced differently, why it was the way that it was. But at the end of the day, we also should probably give Pogacar some credit for what he did. And also, I'll start by saying we should give his team some credit, because a lot of times I think Pogacar wins, and it's just nobody was gonna stop him.
You could win with Le Mans ADK team from 1989.
Right.
It would not be.
But a hilly race like today, there is that possibility that a Remco Evenepoel could try to pull one over on you if you're Tadej Pogacar, or Pidcock, or someone else could try to go from afar. That wasn't really possible today because Jay Vine, well, and the whole UAE team, but particularly Jay Vine at the end there,
Yep,
just destroyed everybody.
Yeah, you got the group down to 6 riders. Maybe
it was very like Sky at the Tour de France-esque, where you are discouraging attacks, whittling the field down. And yeah, it was, like you said, it was like about 6 riders left. Nobody else could have gone. So oftentimes we say, well, if you want to be Pogacar, you have to try to go early. And the only rider I think for whom that was relevant today was Quinn Simmons, who went way early. Like that was all that was possible today. Nobody was gonna go ahead of Pogacar on the Passo de Ganda because UAE was so strong. And I think they deserve a lot of credit for that, because yes, Pogacar still probably wins, like you said, with any team. But if you are going to beat him, trying to catch him out with an early attack might be the way to do it. And that wasn't going to happen today because UAE just had this race on lockdown. Rafael Micah's swan song, Jay Vine, it was just a really strong showing to set up Pogacar to do his thing. And then, yeah, let's give the guy credit. This is it's truly unprecedented. 5 Lombardia wins in a row. I think it's the first time anyone's won any of the 5 monuments 5 times in a row. His 10th career monument victory puts him in his own third place. He had been tied for third in all-time monument wins. Now he's just alone in that regard, which
it's great. It's great to see him pull it off because he's 27 now. Really, kind of the downslope, the end of his career.
That's right. Yeah.
So who knows if that could be the last monument he ever wins? We can't.
Physically speaking, that's obviously a joke, but I will say, there was the stretch earlier this year where he seemed a little bit tired.
Yeah, but that's sort of what I was saying coming in. Was he is like this? It's something that seems to keep coming up in the Secret Pro and in kind of like offhand quick flip Wheeler Flits articles is that Pogacar was unhappy with the way the Tour de France went this year, not from a result standpoint, but it was really hard and not fun. And we saw things that we've never seen from Pogacar before, like where he chose to let Vingegaard get by him and get back 4 bonus seconds, finishing third on the stage instead of second. And we saw stuff like him gifting a win and just in general seeming to not be as freewheeling and just impulsive as he's been in the past. And people complain about him winning everything like it's boring, but maybe you don't remember the Lance years where Lance made everything very, very boring for a long time. It was boring in a different way. It was boring in a scripted way where it's like, okay, I'm going to get an insurmountable GC lead. And now we're just going to not have any GC days that affect the overall for the rest of the tour. And from my perspective, what Pogacar is doing where he goes out and wins everything, sometimes for no reason, sometimes just straight in the face of tactics, is far more interesting than anything else we're going to get under only the rarest of scenarios. Something like the 2003 tour where you don't know who's going to win, where it's wide open. That's really cool. But from my perspective, it is more unique to see someone who is just overpowering everybody and trying to grab as many wins as they can while they can grab them than it is to have this sort of shut down, dull, fully scripted racing.
Yeah, to be clear, he's definitely, every time he wins the race, he's taking the race by the horns, right? Like it's an aggressive long range attack. And it leads to some boring last 20 minutes, but like it's better than what it could be for sure. And it is absolutely, every time it happens, we say, oh, there it happens again. But it's making history. It's next level stuff. So he's now behind only Eddie Merckx and Roger de Vlaeminck for monuments. In addition to being the best Grand Tour racer of his generation.
Maybe we should segment monuments a little better into like the cobbled races and the
I hear what you're saying.
However, I have a long-standing beef against
you have opinions,
generally.
Well, I also think that Pogacar, if he focused squarely on the Tour of Flanders every year, would probably win it every year, right? So
I do wonder how much the thing that people seem to be making a big deal of in commentary is the seated attacks that he does now, and I wonder how much of that is him kind of focusing on building raw power, flat out power. Versus, when you're going up a hill in the middle of France and it's going to take you an hour to get there, you really don't need to have a tremendous number of watts for 10 or 15 seconds. But if you're racing Van der Poel up the Poggio or across the Carrefour de Labra, you do need that power. And, you really can't stand up for a lot of the cobbly stuff too. And so I wonder how much of that has sort of carried over into his other racing preparation for those spring classics.
All right. Overheralded, underheralded. I think the obvious underheralded rider has to be Michael Storer. And I say this as somebody who wrote a preview and, was not thinking of him as a potential contender. He just hasn't really been much of a one-day star to this point in his career. But he was pretty good in the Italian one-days this past month, so maybe we should have seen this coming. Ends up finishing third on the day, and, a little more than 3 minutes down, but still was really, really impressive. Tudor has never done anything like this. And so you got to hand it to Storer. This also was not this wasn't a fluke. I mean, he stuck with that group, that
Yep.
dwindling group, when Jay Vine was putting the hammer down, and he managed to finish in the end. Well, he left Simmons behind and finished ahead of Isaac Del Toro, who's another rider that we all thought was going to do something today. Got to hand it to Storer for that great ride from him. There's a handful of overheraldeds. I think Primoz Roglic to me is the one that stands out. I feel bad for him.
I feel bad for his team.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
They did a lot of work today that didn't necessarily need to happen. There was some discussion with UAE where Domen Novak at one point seemed a little upset with what they were saying. And, there was effort was made, and Roglic was just kind of like on, I don't really care mode. And, sort of limped it in. I don't know.
Yeah, it was interesting. I feel like this was an opportunity for him to stake his claim to still being deserving of leadership in this kind of race. I mean, he is a former Liège winner, right? I know that particular year was a little wonky, but he's certainly a rider who is able to be up there in this kind of race. Just didn't really contend at all today. But on the bright side, his team knows that they've got this runner-up coming their way.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. But it makes for some weird dynamics.
It's he's riding like Total Energy. Total Energies hasn't folded, and he can't just get a job there. Whenever his contract here is up, like,
yeah, maybe he will. Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird dynamic. Yeah, I think the other over under. I don't actually. I think maybe both of them did about as well as I maybe expected. Isaac Del Toro and Paul Seixas. I think both of them coming into this race, you're wondering how are they going to do over this longer stretch. I mean, Del Toro in particular has just been absolutely unbelievably good in the shorter, lesser Italian one days. I think he had 6 wins over the past month and a half. Like every time he went out there, crushing everybody. This is a longer race, though. The stakes are higher. The race is longer. Obviously, the other big dynamic here is that his own team leader is the heavy, heavy, heavy favorite. But he did a good job today. He wasn't quite as strong as maybe I think some might have expected, but at the same time, this is a longer race, and for him to finish 5th, which is what he did, is really impressive. And I think it bodes well for the future. And the exact same could be said of Paul Seixas, which, you're coming off of a great performance, a couple of great performances this past couple of weeks, coming into this longer race, never done anything this long before. 5th, 6th, 7th, that's kind of what you're hoping for, I think, in this sort of race. In your first appearance, that's where he did. He was 7th. So they kind of finished on either side of Tom Pidcock, who doesn't have that youth excuse anymore. Said coming into the race something about wanting to win all kinds of races. And I mean, you could start with this one. This is a good one. This is a good race for you, Tom Pidcock. So I did expect a little bit more from Pidcock, who just kind of didn't have it when the race exploded. But yeah, what do I know?
So does he have a great? I'm trying to think of his track record in longer races.
Well, I guess at this point in his career, I mean, the Amstel Gold Race is the big one so far, and that's a long one. It's a long and challenging race, and if you can do well there, you'd think you could do pretty well at Lombardia. The distance is, I mean, I think Amstel's actually longer than Lombardia. But
punchier climbs.
It is the end of the season.
Longer climbs here.
And I can understand if all of these riders are about ready to pack it in.
What about Tour of Guangxi?
Yeah, good point. Well, we do have one last World Tour race. We're not going to be podcasting for it, unfortunately, but there will be some coverage over at escapecollective.com. So, of course, check that out. I feel like we've pretty much covered all the bases today. Congrats to Tadej Pogacar for making history, and congrats to Remco Evenepoel for proving yourself worthy of leadership over the guy who maybe kind of underwhelmed today, who's going to be your new teammate. And that's about it for us. Yeah, hope you enjoy the race. Hope you enjoy the season. That's kind of wild to think that it's over, but other than Guangxi, I think we're about ready to kick our feet up.
The season did start in January. Like it's maybe too long of a season. I love Australia, but we could probably have that race not in January, and it would still go okay.
That sounds like a good think piece. One of the many things you might
Australian winter is not actually that bad, guys.
That's a good point. Yeah, maybe we
might actually be more pleasant to ride in
Yeah.
for most of Australia than Australian summer, which is hot.
We'll have several months to think about that because there will be nothing else to do between now and the Tour Down Under. There's no other
No, we
disciplines
could
being raced.
definitely, you could walk. Well, okay.
Um,
So the guy who won today is the Slovenian national cyclocross champion in
that's actually a
2018.
great point. It is cross is a great way to see potential up and coming road
El
riders.
Toro
So
was a reasonably good cross racer.
yeah, he
Finished just
was.
ahead of current U.S. champion Andrew Strohmeyer at the 2022 U23
All right,
Worlds.
so
The
I
one in
guess what you're
Arkansas.
saying is you could watch cross these next couple of months. You could
I
watch
would. That's
gravel these next.
watching and racing cross would make you better at road cycling.
All right,
Is my take.
I'm half sold.
Almost certainly better than sweating on your computer all winter long and being like, look, my alleged watts at my alleged weight at my alleged threshold went up by 3.
Yeah,
Steering the bike is way more important than that.
and more entertaining as well. Fair enough. All right, like I said, I'm half sold. That's it for us. Hope you enjoyed everything. We're really glad that you joined us here on StreamYard for our members. If you're not a member, you didn't get to hang out with us while we recorded this show and all the other shows this year. You missed out on all the fun. It's pretty easy to go become one. Head on over to escapecollective.com. Sign up. You can hang out with us while we do these shows. You can read all of the good exclusive content over on the website escapecollective.com. We'd love to have you. So head on over to escapecollective.com, sign up, and enjoy the road cycling off season. We'll see you in the new year. I've been Dane Cash. Who are you? What was this?
I'm Cosmo Catalano. That was the How the Race Was Won podcast.